Let's see how we're looking now. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Why is my screen black? This is wonderful. I'm loving it. There we are. There we are. There we are. Let's try this thing again. Yay, YouTube's Control V. Published now for all of our patrons over at Patreon. Fabuloso, S. Moy Fabuloso, Scored Lioness, good morning. Character Matters, good morning. Cody Willis, Paul Kronk, good morning, everybody. Over here to the show notes. Please bear with me. LOL, see what I did there. Bear with bearindependent.com. Today's 18 December Bear Brief. Hot toddies up into his house. COVID up in the hizzo, thrizzote, and the izzier. We got a lot going on in the world today. Show notes are up. Hopefully you can be seeing them. If you cannot be seeing them, I be apologizing to you. Tis what it is. We're doing the best we can with what we got where we're at. I know a guy on the internet that likes to say that a whole bunch. Current issues, 18 December 20. Wal-Mart is preparing over 5,000 stores to administer COVID-19 vaccinations once they are approved. Yay, Wal-Mizzy. It is one of several companies doing so. Dr. Tom Van Gilder said on the company's website, with 90% of the American population living within 10 miles of a Wal-Mart, we will play an important part in making sure those who want a vaccine can get one when they are eligible based on the state's prioritization, especially those in hard-to-reach parts of the country that have recently been hit hard by the epidemic. Two things jump out at me with the word, well, there's three things with that paragraph that jump out to me. By the way, excellent reporting from the Dance Monkeys. Intel at bearindependent.com is how you get your intel into the hands of the Dance Monkeys. The first is 90% of Americans live within 10 miles of a Walmart. That's crazy. I had no idea. That statistic is absurd. I mean, it's cool, but it's absurd. You know what I mean? Biddy Boo, Bama Buckeye, Patriot Plumber, good morning, brother. I had no idea. It's almost like they're a global multi-billion-dollar corporation that knows a thing or two about making a buck. I'm not even mad. I'm just kind of blown away. 90% of Americans live within 10 miles of a Walmart? That's crazy. Okay, next. Walmart will play an important part in making sure those who want a vaccine can get one when they are eligible based on their state's prioritization. Now, if you believe in vaccination, which, by the way, we're going to be talking a lot about vaccination today on the report, then it makes sense that we prioritize medical care for those with the highest level of need. And on its surface, that makes a lot of sense. But it's also eerily reminiscent of Operation Dark Winter, which we discussed on Wednesday, state prioritization. Now, I'm all for the 10th Amendment. I think that it's wonderful that the states have a say in how this thing is distributed and administered, as long as it's voluntary. And I believe that it will be at this point. I don't want to jump in that rabbit hole just yet. As long as it's voluntary. But that state prioritization, that's directly from Operation Dark Winter. And some of the lessons learned with Operation Dark Winter is that, oh yeah, the states need to be in a position to prioritize care for their people. But interestingly enough, we know that thus far, the COVID-19 situation has been referred to as a pandemic. In fact, Disaster Coffee actually has pandemic blend right here, right? Like, pandemic blend. Everybody knows it's a pandemic. It's a pandemic, bro. What about the pandemic? The pandemic, the global pandemic. It's a pandemic. Right? Here's the deal. In Operation Dark Winter, everything they referred to was an epidemic. I just find it, maybe it's because it's fresh on my mind from Wednesday, but the messaging is too congruent. It's just weird. Anyway, moving right along. From Dr. Tom Van Gilder, Chief Medical Officer of Wal-Mart. It's wonderful that Wal-Mart has a Chief Medical Officer. Over here at corporate.walmart.com. If you're on Patreon, you've got the show notes up right now, posted with the video link this morning. As we all read about COVID-19 vaccine progress in the news, I want to share a few, quoting from Dr. Tom, of the steps we're taking at Walmart to be prepared once a vaccine is approved in the United States, Estados Unidos, as they say in the Espanol. We have been on quite a journey the last several months, from entering into agreements with the federal government to distribute the vaccine, to preparing our operations and clinical services, all to get ready to be one of the places our customers and associates can receive the vaccine. I know we are all ready to get back to normal and enjoy life beyond the epidemic, and these vaccines will help us do that. Will they? I actually have some documentation from Pfizer right here that we're going to get into in a minute that was provided to me by one of my brothers, like straight up. He's like, hey, you need to see this. Thank you, bro. Cannot thermoregulato. Moving right along. Let me share, Dr. Tom, a few things I know about the upcoming vaccines. There are multiple vaccine candidates and they are showing real promise. The effectiveness is better than expected. Thanks, Dr. Tom. That is tremendous progress and a good sign. The vaccines are showing impressive safety data as well. Oh, they are? The Food and Drug Administration's processes are designed to deliver a safe, effective vaccine. They are, man, I just can't resist. They are designed to deliver a safe and effective vaccine. However, from Pfizer itself, where is it? The Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine has not undergone the same type of review as an FDA-approved or cleared product. Right there. So thanks, Dr. Tom. And maybe the FDA is good at producing vaccines. That's an entirely different argument. But whether they are or aren't, the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine has not undergone any of the FDA regulatory development that we're staking our, we're putting our hope in here, per Dr. Tom. Appreciate that, Dr. Tom. You're the best, man. You're the best. However, no vaccine provides complete coverage, and most vaccines have side effects. Really? In trials so far, the vaccines have shown side effects of flu-like symptoms in about 10 to 15% of recipients, but there have been no report of serious side effects. I'm going to read you essentially this is the MSDS, the Material Safety Data Sheet, for the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine to prevent coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19, in individuals 16 years of age or older. Fact sheet for recipients and caregivers. Thanks, bro. All right, so we get it, Dr. Tom. You work for a giant multinational corporation. You got a job to do. I get it, but we don't necessarily see eye to eye on vaccines. Know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. Glock 316, good morning. John Plato is here. Antonio McAllister is here. He got 2 notifications. What's up, Goza? What's up? Patriot Plumber is still in the house. Bless you, bro. All the blue wrenches, good morning, everybody. If you could do us a favor, give us the little thumbs up like this. That helps us in our battle against the YouTube algorithmic robots. If you're new here, please subscribe. I know that we are not your typical news source, nor do we aspire to be. We are not bought and paid for. We're completely independent. We're supported by patrons on Patreon, interestingly enough. $1 a month, $10 a year. If you're feeling frisky and you want to see all the behind-the-scenes stuff that we can't do here on YouTube, you might check that out. If you're into firearms videos and training videos and homesteading videos and preparedness question and answer sessions. I spent 3 hours, an awesome 3 hours, on a Zoom call with the top tier patrons last night. It was super cool. It was the bomb. You know what I mean, Patriot Plumber? Andrew Barnes knows what I mean. Savvy. Actual. That's right. Back to Dr. Tom at Walmart. Actually, do we even care what Dr. Tom has to say anymore? No, we do not. Moving on. From a viewer in New Mexico, Quote, today I received a call from my employer informing me the county had enough vaccines to cover all essential workers, and they were calling to know which employees were signing up to take them. I told them I wasn't. Good job, viewer in New Mexico. I mean, and I say good job, but for me, backfilling my convictions on you, it's a good job. But if you want the vaccine, take the vaccine. I don't want the vaccine. I have zero interest in taking the vaccine for reasons we're going to get into in a minute. I do believe in voluntarism. You don't get to tell me to take it. I can't tell you to not take it. Cool? Cool. But one of the things that came up on our Zoom call last night was the concept that at some point, not taking the vaccine is going to be seen as aggression towards your fellow man. And when that happens, when they get that messaging figured out, the big they, where I am endangering you because I am not vaccinated, now I'm the bad guy. And that creates the onus for violence against me or governmental force against me because I am endangering everybody around me because I will not comply. Well, newsflash, we got COVID, got antibodies. I don't need the vaccine. Thanks, bro. Appreciate you, Dr. Tom, but I'm good. I'm going to go into Wal-Mart. I'm going to lick everybody. I'm going to be a one-man super spreader event with a smile on my face. It's going to be a blast. You can't stop me. You can't stop me. I'm just kidding, YouTube. Don't pull the friggin' live stream. Simmer down, YouTube. I am clearly documenting here through my inadequacies of OBS broadcasting what's going on in the world re-COVID at the moment. Know what I mean? You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Moving right along, a squad leader from an Airborne infantry division out of North Carolina. Who could that be? An Airborne infantry division out of North Carolina. Do you even Fort Bragg, bro? Do you even 82nd, bro? The All-Americans? Good morning, my All-Americans. A squad leader of an Airborne infantry division out of NC, North Carolina says, quote, we just got the option to take the COVID vaccine, and I'm proud to say that all of my paratroopers declined, as did the majority of the platoon. I don't know how long this will remain a voluntary thing, though. Now, interestingly, the 82nd Airborne, there's a lot of chatter going on with, like, the Patriot Hopium channels right now. Like, Trump is going to take back the White House through military action because the DOJ is compromised and DOD is all that he has left. And this is why he's pardoned or dropped the charges against our amazing and wonderful General Flynn, who's going to lead the charge of the DOD to take back America and reconstitute the Constitution of the United States of America because we the people. First of all, simmer down. Second of all, do you even hopes and dreams, bro? Third, what intel do you actually have? Actually have. If the answer is not much, my response would be not much. You know what I mean, Thrifty VG? Overall living, good morning. 99% survival rate. I'm willing to risk it. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. So, 82nd, there's been a lot of news about the 82nd lately. And one of the things that I've heard bandied about has been a storm is coming. Meaning that, yeah, man, they're going to jump. They're going to take back America. Well, let's look at the mission of the 82nd from Army.mil, right? Like straight up from Army.mil. The mission of the 82nd Airborne Division is to, within 18 hours of notification, strategically deploy, conduct forcible entry parachute assault, and secure key objectives for follow-on military operations in support of U.S. national interests. Do you have to go very far down the Hopium trail in order to find an application for the 82nd to be involved in our favorite pipe dream? No, not at all. And in fact, if we were writing a prepper novel, it'd be really cool to see the 82nd jump on, LA, DC, New York, a couple other strategic locations all at the same time. How cool would that be? Oh, it'd be so cool, man. Likelihood, I'm going to say incredibly low at the moment. And so what is this storm that is coming that everybody's been talking about? 1st Brigade Combat Team ends eventful 2020 with Operation Devil Storm on Fort Bragg. Aha, a storm is coming. Here it is, right here. 1st Brigade Combat Team ends eventful 2020 with Operation Devil Storm on Fort Bragg, North Carolina. The 1st BCT Devils of the 82nd Airborne Division just completed their 10-day mission readiness exercise. The exercise Devil Storm took place on Sicily and Holland drop zones, as well as across the entire training area of Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Devil Storm lasted December 1st through the 11th of 2020. Devil Storm began when the brigade received its mission from the 82nd Airborne Operations Center. This order initiated the 96-hour sequence, a regimented system of preparation that allowed the brigade to coordinate and ready their personnel and equipment for a combat airborne operation. Blah, 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 COVID, blah, 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 COVID. The concept of this year's operation was certainly more complex than ever before, and the brigade had to prepare on multiple fronts. Blah, 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 blah. We did cool airborne stuff. Blah, 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 blah. We jumped out of some planes. Blah, blah, blah. We did some parachute things. Blah, 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 blah. It was awesome. Blah, 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 blah. Hundreds of paratroopers donned chutes and equipment, conducted heavy equipment drop and mass tactical static line airborne operations onto Sicily and Holland drop zones, officially beginning the operation. Simultaneously, more than 2,000 were delivered by ground to mass combat power and to prepare for the days ahead. Fire support coordination exercises, blah, 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 blah. So, if we're going to smoke all the hopium, maybe this is a training exercise for when General Flynn calls on his buddies at the 82nd Airborne to go in there and take back America. Or maybe they're just doing what the military does, which is, when not actively engaged in warfare, conducting training exercises. So the reason I bring all of this up is there is a mass of chatter right now on a lot of these different Patriot channels and all over the interwebs, all over YouTube, all over the blogosphere. There is a mass of this stuff going on right now. Would it be cool? Oh, it'd be so cool. Would it be cool? The military is going to go to war against the political elements in this country. I don't think that's going to be cool. It may be necessary, but make no mistake, it's not cool. Effectively, what you have now is a presidency in exile and a civil war, if not a revolutionary war. Those things aren't cool. Those bullets go both ways, man. And if you're holding out hope that President Trump and General Flynn take back America by force with the DOD, if this is where we are now, if this is really where we are right now, we've got so many bigger problems. And so I'd encourage you to not be grasping at straws for the fate of this American empire. If anything, one of the wonderful things that came out of the Zoom call that we had last night on Patreon was the concept that we are reaping what we are sowing. We have allowed this to happen. Every one of these corrupt officials, somebody voted for. Every one of these massive institutions that exists to essentially enslave us at this point. Remember the report from Iron Mountain we talked about the other days? Some advanced, fanciful way of enslavement? Well, here we are. Every one of those institutions, we funded. We approved on some level. Whether explicitly or implicitly, we approved this. Maybe it's a time for us to take stock of the fact that nobody's coming to save us but us. And by the way, put your hope not in man. Call no one master but your Father in heaven. Straight up, your Messiah said that. And so before we get all spun up that the 82nd's coming in and they're going to take back the United States. Okay, simmer down there, hard charger. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath and think. Think about the implications of that. What does that actually mean? It means chaos and death and destruction. And even still, the decline of the American empire. A house divided against itself cannot stand. Most people attribute that to Abraham Lincoln without realizing, because they don't read their Bibles, that that came out of the mouth of Messiah. But it's true. In the big picture, and make no mistake, a Biden-Harris presidency in no way gets me all hot and bothered. I am not excited at all for that. But our enemies, global enemies, would like nothing more than military action by the DOD against our political system in the United States of America. Believe it. Might that help American citizens? Maybe. Does that help China? Absolutely. Does it help Russia? Absolutely. So before we get so eager to, yeah, let's go, man. 82nd dropping on the drop zone. It's going to get hot in DC. Take a deep breath. Actually apply some logic here. It's going to be a shit show if that happens. And you better make sure you are in a position to weather that storm. All right, a Bear National submitted this. Vaccines, quote, vaccines are being made available for frontline workers, EMS, fire, police, hospital staff. My EMS agency was contacted about the vaccine. They have offered it on a voluntary basis to those who want it. I estimate about 50% will take it. I will not. It is my understanding we will have it within 2 months. Oh, so cool. And so, to that point, many people right now that I know personally are being put in a position, or have been put in a position, where they are being asked to choose between taking a vaccine or keeping their job. I cannot tell you what to do, but I can tell you to listen to the convictions of your heart is put there by the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit. Because we know from the Gospels that the Holy Spirit doesn't send you anything, doesn't give you any words other than what comes straight from the Father. Okay? So, for me, I'm not taking it. And I would add the asterisk of, and you cannot make me take it. And I'm not taking it for a lot of reasons. The first of all is I will not put swine in my blood. And the second of which is I will not put aborted children into my blood. And so there's right here from HLI.org, aborted fetal tissue and vaccines. There is some confusion today among pro-life people, especially parents, regarding the morality of using vaccines that may have been produced using the tissue of aborted preborn babies. They're most certainly there. The crux of this article and several other articles, all of which the links to which have been provided on Patreon over here, right here, you can see all these links are right down here. The MRC5 and WI38 cell lines originate from babies aborted in 1961. The ongoing abortion of children is not something that's being actively pursued right now to produce vaccines. Actively pursued. But passively, aborted fetuses are being sold, commoditized and sold to researchers. I have a moral disagreement with that. To be frank, it disgusts me. So I'm not going to participate in that because it disgusts me. So MRC5, WI38 cell lines originated from babies aborted in 1961. Their cells were regenerated by Merck and other companies and are used in the Verivax and Meruvax 2 vaccines. These cell lines are technically immortal because technicians can sustain them in a laboratory indefinitely under proper conditions. This means that the researchers who developed these relatively new vaccines bear no responsibility whatsoever for the original abortions carried out half a world away, half a century ago. Okay. Whatever you say. Just because something has become acceptable doesn't make it right. So, there are generally 3 degrees of cooperation regarding the manufacture, sale, and use of vaccines originating with aborted babies. 1. To begin with, those who procure tissue from aborted babies in order to produce a vaccine from it are guilty of formally cooperating in abortion by approving of and taking advantage of the very act of abortion itself. They are as guilty as the boyfriend who pays for the abortion, the friend who drives her to the abortion mill, or the abortionist who performs the actual procedure. 2. Somewhat removed from this direct cooperation in abortion are those who market, advertise, and distribute the resulting vaccines. But these activities are also morally illicit because they could contribute in encouraging the performance of other voluntary abortions with the purpose of producing such vaccines. I firmly believe, for those that haven't figured this out already, that life begins in the womb and it begins at conception. And we know that aborted children feel pain. We know that you're not going to birth a football. There's a 100% chance, regardless of the health of that child, that when you give birth, it will be a person. The demarcation is not inside of the womb versus outside of the womb for me. And so, it's murder. It's murder when done with malice in your heart. And it doesn't mean that there isn't grace and forgiveness for those who have had an abortion because they know better now. Because there absolutely is. Because all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of Yah, the Most High. And He loves us fearlessly and wonderfully through all of this. But it does not mean, like all sin, that it's something that we should perpetuate once we know the truth. And that's where I am with this. I have family members that have had abortions, and I love them. And it affects them negatively for a very long time. I don't want to be involved in perpetuating that. I don't want to. In fact, it's against my biblical understanding to perpetuate sin. Sin is transgression of the law. 1 John 3, verse 4. Shall we sin all the more so that grace may abound? No, God forbid, the words of Paul. So, we don't want to, I won't put words in your mouth, but I don't want to perpetuate something that creates the opportunity for sin and really impactful, long-lasting ramifications. 3, finally, there are the doctors and patients who use the vaccines even though they know about their origin. They are permitted to use the vaccines when no alternative is available in order to avoid significant risks to their health and indirectly the health of the population as a whole. However, this causes the moral coercion of the conscience of parents who are forced to choose to act against their conscience or others, or otherwise to put the health of their children and the population as a whole at risk. This is an unjust alternative choice which must be eliminated as soon as possible. I agree with that. There's also another article here from the Federalist. As long as vaccines are tied to abortions, Christians need exemptions. Agreed. Exemptions are one of the things right now that are falling by the wayside. Many states right now are acting against religious freedom. You cannot claim an exemption. In recent years, religious exemptions from vaccination mandates have been eliminated in some states. It began in 2015 in California, followed by Maine, New York, and Washington. Although protecting ourselves and others with vaccinations Seems like the reasonable and Christian thing to do. There remains a significant reason to retain religious or conscientious exemptions. Several vaccines use cell lines derived from aborted fetal tissues. And this goes back through essentially what we have been discussing thus far. The point here is that the religious exemption is falling by the wayside. And if we look over here at Chicago Tribune, under this article here, employers can require COVID-19 vaccination, but there are exceptions. Here's what you and your boss need to know. Now, granted, this comes from the Chicago Tribune, so let's take everything here with a whole pinch of salt, not just a grain or two. With COVID-19 vaccinations expected to start in Chicago on Tuesday, employers eager to return to some semblance of business as usual, which we already know there's not going to be business as usual. Fauci has already said, even if you get vaccinated, you still need to social distance and wear all your PPE and wash your hands constantly. And so nothing has changed other than you've taken the vaccine. Eager to return to some semblance of business as usual, are contemplating how best to urge workers to get inoculated and whether to make it mandatory. Can they require the vaccine? The short answer is yes, with some exceptions, attorneys say. The trickier question is whether they should. And so this goes on to, it's a bit of a Q&A. Is it legal for employers to mandate vaccination and fire workers who don't comply? Answer. COVID-19 is such a threat to public health that many employers will be able to make the case that requiring vaccination is job-related and consistent with business necessity. That is the standard under the Americans with Disabilities Act that permits employers to make medical inquiries and administer medical tests, Hartstein said. And now this is interesting because under the ADA, if that allows employers to make medical inquiries, that would actually be a violation of HIPAA, which is one of the things that we talked about last night on that live stream or that Zoom call, is HIPAA is no longer being respected. We are actually in a world without rule of law right now. Just adjust your OODA loop for a second and think about this. We are in without rule of law right now. The Constitution doesn't mean anything. All of the laws on the state level about elections and electors don't mean anything. HIPAA doesn't mean anything. And on and on and on and on and on. We are in without rule of law right now. And so a lot of people in the preparedness community have painted this picture of without rule of law being, the banditos in the back of the pickup truck with their AKs that come to your house and, hey, give me all your food, man. And the Wild West, but in 2020. No, we're already in without rule of law. We've talked quite a bit about this here, but governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed. Well, I don't consent anymore. I think almost everybody here does not consent anymore. And that means they don't have just powers. So if they don't have just powers, they don't have authority, why are we participating in the first place? The answer is because of sheer force. It's because of sheer force. Because at some point, men with guns will come and tell you what you have to do. Which, of course, means that you need to be in a place where the men with guns aren't, or where you are in league with perhaps a different set of men with guns, or you create your own group of men with guns. We'll just leave that at that. The constitutional militia. Good morning, NWA Preppa. Hey, Nicole Lindman's here. Force, fear, and ignorance. Amen, Patriot Plumber. And so, where did my link go? Back over here. We are in without rule of law right now. Make no mistake. We are in without rule of law. They are acting like it. I would encourage you to think on what would it look like for you to act like it as well. Just throwing that out there, okay? Eyes to see, ears to hear. Moving along with this article from Chicago Tribune, federal agencies have not yet issued specific guidance for employers. However, in March, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission said employers can require workers to take COVID-19 screening tests and that rationale will likely be applied to mandatory vaccination, he said. There is also precedent from prior pandemics, including smallpox and the H1N1 swine flu, when employers were given leeway to require vaccines. Now, y'all know me. My response to this is, kiss my hairy white ass. I'll get a new job. I'll make my own job. I will leave this wherever this place is, and I'm out. But you got to do you. You got to go with your convictions. Workplaces most vulnerable to infections, such as hospitals and other healthcare facilities, are most likely to require employees to get inoculated. Many hospitals mandate employees get the flu vaccine during non-pandemic times, said Michael Leroy, professor in the School of Labor and Employment Relations at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Employers of first responders, teachers, and meatpacking workers could also make compelling arguments for a mandate, he said. Employers can fire workers who refuse to get a shot, with some exceptions. Which begs the question, what are the exceptions? If workers can show that a disability or sincerely held religious belief prevents them from getting vaccinated, employers are required by federal law to provide a reasonable accommodation. That could include a remote work arrangement, constant mask wearing at work, or not scheduling unvaccinated employees to work during periods of high transmission rates. Even so, courts may put more weight on the safety of the workplace than an individual worker's rights. And that is an issue because we are supposed to be, if we were in a world of law, if we were under rule of law, we the people, the lowest common denominator of freedom is the individual. We're not there anymore. We are in this collectivism and have been for a long time. But again, adjust your OODA loop. The mindset is collectivism now. Your individual rights do not matter. They haven't mattered for a long time, but the masks are off now. Now, because of COVID-19, as we've seen from the World Economic Forum, it is the onus for the Great Reset. The Great Reset is essentially global socialism, which leads to global communism, which is collectivism. And so your individual rights no longer matter. Under the auspices of a global pandemic, because of the emergency threat that this global pandemic represents, you cannot be afforded your individual rights because you are being a danger to the whole. And it is vital that the whole is maintained so that we can survive this pandemic and build back better. Now, we talked about yesterday night, again, we had a great Zoom call. On the Zoom call, the concept that this whole thing feels very much so like a sham. The Hegelian dialectic is largely at play here. You create the problem, you create the solution to the problem, and you control the synthesis between those two for your end goals, for your ideal end state. And that's very much so what is happening here. I'm on record as early as February of 2020 saying that the global pandemic is a sham and it is being used to crash land the world's economies. Look at what's going on in the world. Look at the Great Reset. The Great Reset is literally a crash landing of the world's economies, so that we get away from individual rights and liberties and we work towards actual codified socialism, collectivism on a global scale. And so you exercising your individual rights is a threat to the collective. Add that into your OODA loop, slot that into your processing. You exercising your individual rights is a threat to the collective. That's why so many of us are being targeted. That's why the big they, are doing the things that they're doing to our channel. I had to fight my way into my channel for an hour Wednesday morning. Fight my way in to be able to do this broadcast. Not wonderful. So, back to Chicago Tribune. Even so, courts may put more weight on the safety of the workplace than an individual worker's rights. A federal appeals court in 2018 dismissed a lawsuit brought by a healthcare professional who claimed disability discrimination after she was fired for refusing to vaccinate for rubella because she was worried about an allergic reaction. The court said her garden variety allergies didn't constitute a disability and her job required her to work with vulnerable patients. An employer's ability to offer reasonable accommodations can determine whether it makes sense to require vaccination. Blah, 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 blah. For example, factories or other workplaces where teleworking is not an option may find a mandate is disruptive to businesses if they don't plan on addressing people who decline. Agreed. What if employees believe the vaccine is unsafe? This is where things get tricky. The speed with which the COVID-19 vaccines were developed and the limited testing on certain populations, including pregnant women, have many concerned about safety. Surveys have shown rising confidence as the rollout nears, and an ABC News Ipsos poll published Monday found 80% of Americans plan to get the vaccine at some point. I do not believe that number at all. Do not believe that number at all. But other research points to greater wariness. Only half of Americans and a quarter of black Americans polled in early December said they would get vaccinated, while the rest said they weren't sure or would not, according to the Associated Press. Forcing workers to decide between getting a vaccine or losing their job could hurt morale at a time anxiety is already high and disrupt business operations if enough people refuse. Yada, yada, yada. This goes on and on and on. But the point here is your religious exemption may not necessarily work where you are, and in some states already it does not work. So, Matt Storms, good morning. Wow, the chat is just flying by. 1,590 people on currently. That's awesome. By the way, we're up to 107.2 thousand of y'all. We appreciate y'all. If you could go ahead and give this thing a like, throw some thumbs up at it. That helps us in our battle against the YouTube algorithmic robots. Also, please understand that we are no longer favored by YouTube. So the way that this message has to get out is you have to share it out to the people. And so if you could please share it out to the people, I would greatly appreciate it because our content is no longer being suggested. In fact, I had a brother told me yesterday, he said, hey, I tried to log on to your channel from 2 different YouTube accounts to watch your programming, and I couldn't get it. I had to log out and then search for you in the search bar to even be able to find you. And so right now we've got a target on our backs, and that's because I'm bad at policing my words, and there's important things going on in the world. So if you could help us shoulder the burden of that target on our backs by liking this, subscribing to the channel if you're just lurking here, and sharing this out to people who need to see it, we greatly appreciate you. Patreon is the place that you can find us if or when they take this broadcast down. We have a lot of redundancy at Patreon. We have Vimeo as well. We're working on Rumble. You can also find us on Instagram. You can go to bearindependent.com, sign up for the newsletter there. We don't spam people. We don't sell your information. But Patreon is where you can find us at $1 a month or $10 a year to get in on the ground level of Patreon. And it's freaking awesome. Now, let's see. We are almost 45 minutes into this broadcast already. Let me tell you guys and girls about this real quick. And then we got a lot of other things we got to hit. All right. This is the bare minimum from refugemedical.com. This is handmade, made in America, guaranteed forever. If you break this, we will send you another one. If you use this kit to save a life, we will replace all the contents of this kit for free. Okay? We want these kits out there saving lives. 13 lives have been saved with this kit thus far. Again, it's Molly, comes in all the colors, Coyote, Multicam, Marpat, Woodland, red with reflective, OD green, black, and gray. Okay? Comes in all the colors. This molly's onto your kit. When you need it, you just pop the lid open like so. You got your combat gauze right there on the top. You're going to add that as an additional at checkout. Pop this off your kit. And hey, somebody at Refuge Medical, I need a bear fac as well here in the studio, please and thank you. Got your combat gauze here. Pop this open. Got everything you need and nothing you don't for dealing with massive bleeding, airway, and respiratory. Okay, so all your standard combat injuries, okay? You got your surgical tape, 6-inch North American Rescue emergency trauma dressing. You've got a legit North American Rescue decompression needle right there. Got a pair of nitrile gloves right here because if it's wet and not yours, don't touch it. Gen 7 cat tourniquet, military standard. And then down here in the bottom, we have what we call the stack. And in the stack, we have 7 1/4-inch North American Rescue EMT shears, nasal pharyngeal airway, 2 5x9s, and 2 full-size high-fin chest seals. And it's everything you need and nothing you don't to run on your plate carrier, your chest rig, your war belt. Hey, listen, it's looking a little apocalyptic out there. If you don't already have one of these, maybe you should consider getting one. We do, of course, offer bulk discount pricing for departments, agencies, organizations, churches, small businesses, etc. And if you have one of those, department, agency, organization, churches, small businesses, etc., you can go ahead and email sales@Refuge Medical, and Brother Foe will get you set up with our training division for equipment and training through privatized grants. So yeah, check that out. And y'all, Bear Nation, you can use promo code Bear Nation for these kits. You get them at refugemedical.com. You get 10% off with promo code Bear Nation. If you're on Patreon, make sure to use the promo code in the report every day. You'll get even more off. And handmade, made in America, guaranteed forever. 13 lives already saved on 4 continents, deployed with 4 branches of the armed forces, designed and refined by SF guys. This is the bare minimum. It rocks. Moving right along. Fact sheet for recipients and caregivers. Emergency use authorization. See, that's where it gets tricky, guys. Emergency use authorization of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine to prevent coronavirus. So, I can't go through this entire document, but I'm going to read the highlighted portions. This is the 5-page handout. I'm sorry, 6-page handout that comes with the vaccine. So, this right here was, again, provided to me by a brother, and he has a family member that was offered to take this vaccine, declined, but retained the paperwork. So we have this from the original source. You are being offered the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine to prevent coronavirus disease 2019, caused by SARS-CoV-2. What is the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine? And I will brace for this live stream to get pulled any moment now. The Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine is an unapproved vaccine that may prevent COVID-19. There is no FDA-approved vaccine to prevent COVID-19. That's right there. Just a little screen grab for you. Documenting, YouTube, I am documenting what is going on right here. I am not pontificating, theorizing, or opinionating. I am documenting in their own words what it says. Everybody copy? Roger that. Let's see here. Tell the vaccine provider about all your medical conditions, including if you have allergies, fever, a bleeding disorder, or are on a blood thinner, immunocompromised, or on medicine that affects your immune system, pregnant or plan to become pregnant, breastfeeding, or have received another COVID-19 vaccine. What are the benefits of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine? In an ongoing clinical trial, the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine has been shown to prevent COVID-19 following 2 doses given 3 weeks apart. The duration of protection against COVID-19 is currently unknown. Well, hold on a minute. Has been shown to prevent COVID-19. However, on the first page it says, the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine is an unapproved vaccine that may prevent COVID-19. Just so we're all on the same page here. The duration of protection against COVID-19 is currently unknown. There you go. For everybody who needs a screen grab, just to see that we are documenting here. Fabulous. For bad side effects, it says call 911 or go to the nearest hospital. Keep your vaccination card. When you get your first dose, you will get a vaccination card to show you when to return for your second dose of Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19. Remember to bring your card when you return. Thanks, but no thanks. And lastly, and this is critical, this right here is absolutely critical. The Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine has not undergone the same type of review as an FDA-approved or cleared product. The FDA may issue an EUA emergency use authorization when certain criteria are met, which includes that there is no adequate approved or available alternatives like HCQ, hydroxychloroquine. In addition, the FDA decision is based on the totality of scientific evidence available showing that the product may be effective to prevent COVID-19 during the COVID-19 pandemic. So the pandemic itself is the onus for the fact that they cannot actually verify that it works. In their own words. Fabulous. And the emergency use authorization for Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccination is in effect for the duration of COVID-19 EUA, emergency use authorization declaration, justifying emergency use of these products unless terminated or revoked, after which the products may no longer be used. So, the emergency use authorization is in place as long as there's an emergency. Copy that. So it's in everybody's best interest, including the pharmaceutical companies that are making billions and billions and billions of dollars off of this, to maintain the state of emergency, which gets back into historic transfer of wealth, which is something that we've discussed here as well. So, as for me and my house, we're good. Thanks, bruh. Moving right along, let's see. Cyber attacks, ransomware. We may touch on that in a little bit. Of course, we're going long. Live streams of protests with President Trump supporters are being taken down, hidden, and otherwise censored. Videos, posts, and channels that mention certain things that would lend credit to the Trump narrative are often flagged and removed on social media platforms. The disinformation is much deeper than big tech companies. Thank you, Dance Monkeys. There's a lot going on here. There's been a big talk about the coming dark winter and the cyber pandemic and all of that. And one of the things that I just wanted to remind everybody of is that cybersecurity is in a lot of ways physical security. Now, what do we got over here? Shabba-dabba-da. Oh, that's electoral votes. There we go. FBI warns of increased and imminent cyber attack threats on hospitals in the United States. Releases tips on how to mitigate ransomware risks. Yeah, we don't need to dive into all this, but the point is the messaging is continuing to show that we are not as good as we think we are at protecting all of the things. Remember the Internet of Things, the interconnectivity that's absolutely required to make sure that we experience the highest quality of life and also open ourselves to every avenue of attack possible. Oh, and what's this? Dash Pass. Oh, no, I'm good. I know how to cook food. Thanks. You know why? Because I'm a human being that lives on a farm. Wonderful. But I want to just remind everybody that, yes, sophisticated hackers can absolutely take down the cyber infrastructure. You know who else can? Bubba with a backhoe. I've seen it happen. Okay? So, this is an old report, but it illustrates the issue here. This is from 2018. If you're a Comcast customer, you might have already realized your internet is borked today. The wave of sadness and despair that you're presumably experiencing seems to be the result of a few cut fiber cables, according to a tweet from Comcast. By the way, tweet sounds like a very, very dangerous word to say on the internet. Also, I, to this day, lament the fact that reporting on people's tweets now counts as news. I hate this. I absolutely hate this. This is not news. I hate it. However, here we are now. Earlier today, various internet services seemingly went down, reflected in a spike of outage reports on sites like Down Detector. A tweet from Newsday reporter Joan Gralla stated the source of the disruption was actually a series of fiber line cuts, one between New York and Chicago and the other between Ashburn and South Carolina. And it goes on to say, blah, 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 blah. Bubbas with backhoes can ruin your day when it comes to fiber optic lines. And so, is it entirely possible that the North Koreans hack in and shut the grid down? Yup. Is it entirely possible that Como is taken down by some guy with a track hoe? Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, AT&T, to the best of my knowledge currently, owns approximately 80% of the subsurface fiber in the country. So, yay monopolies and stuff. What happened to trust busting and all of that? But 3-4 years ago, they had a huge trunk cable cut that put like the whole East Coast all the way around the tip of Florida into the Gulf Coast of Texas and on into Dallas, Texas. We're all without Como. There were no fiber lines for like a day. It was bad. It was really bad. And you know what it was? It was a guy on a backhoe that had bad locates, that dug a trench in the wrong place, and just absolutely shredded a bunch of fiber lines. So, bear that in mind. Cybersecurity is physical security. Just the point that I wanted to make. You know what I mean? Stumps, roots, and shoots. You know what I mean. Andy Barnes is still here. We are Borg. Good morning, we are Borg. What's the link that we, and now YouTube is saying that we're having issues. Here we go. Negatory on the hyperlink. Have a great day. Savvy, bless you. Shalom, bro. What's up with the link? What link are we trying to send? All unable to post links. Oh, that's cool. Thanks, Patreon. Let's see, CIA.gov. Let's just go there, because why not? Let's try this. Wrenches can't post links. Here, go to CIA.gov. This is perfect. All wrenches are blocked from link posting. That's cool. That's really cool. I love that. Stream settings, shabba-dabba-dabba-da. Garrett and James Hoggle, bless y'all. My current stream status is poor. Are we being attacked? Is the attack imminent? Stream health. Let's go over here. No, actually, y'all don't need to see my IP address. But before the broadcast started, my upspeed was 179 megabits per second. So that's wonderful. Dang it, Willard. Yeah, exactly. So we are going to talk a little bit about, all right, goodbye CIA, goodbye 82nd Airborne, goodbye aborted fetus vaccines, goodbye this, goodbye Wal-Mart, goodbye. Oh, and in a brief, listen, this page is having a problem. That's cool. Obama's TVIS crime database hides BLM Antifa violence and inflates white right-wing violence. So from the reporting here from the Dance Monkeys, former CIA counterintelligence officer Brad Johnson performed a study on the TVIS criminal database, Terrorism and Extremist Violence in the United States, and found that it minimizes BLM and Antifa violence while grossly overstating white right-wing violence. This means that a federally funded database used by both government and media contains misleading and or false data fueling racial and political bias, prejudice, and division. From Johnson's study, quote, TVIS reporting appears to set out to cover up Islamic, Arab, black nationalist, and left-wing terrorism and extremist violence and attempts to document white and right-wing violence where little to no violence actually exists. Quote, TVIS, just documenting here, YouTube, TVIS uses their reporting and simply excludes many violent acts if they were perpetrated by non-whites, or worse, outright lies about the races of the individuals conducting violent acts. In a blatant display of data manipulation, the exclusively Arab 9/11 hijackers who murdered nearly 3,000 innocent people were categorized by TVIS as white, Caucasian, non-Hispanic. And as a result, TVIS is able to attribute all of those killed in 9/11 to whites. TVIS systematically covers up the violence associated with black nationalist groups such as Black Lives Matter, even though BLM activists and supporters have allegedly killed at least 11 police officers and wounded 9 since 2014. None of that information is included. So what's really cool, is that we're using our taxpayer dollars to make this happen. So over here at AmericanMilitaryNews.com, if you're on Patreon, you've got this link in the show notes posted this morning. Terrorism and Extremist Violence in the United States is a U.S. government-funded database. We just talked about all of that. There's much debate these days about the level of violence taking place in the American streets. It was an important topic in the first presidential debate, and President Trump was asked about right-wing violence a number of times. So what is the source for the claims that right-wing violence is such a big problem and threat? As it turns out, the Department of Homeland Security, along with other federal funding sources, pays for a TVIS database and portal, a 2009 Obama administration initiative. We're going to fundamentally transform the United States of America. Much of the information about the existence of right-wing violence does in fact come from the responsible agency, which in this case is the Department of Homeland Security via TVIS. The latest annual Homeland Threat Assessment published in October by DHS Director Chad Wolf said that is why we design our programs to be threat agnostic, ensuring that we can combat a broad range of domestic threats. However, I'm particularly concerned about white supremacist violent extremists who have been exceptionally lethal in their aberrant targeted attacks in recent years. Well, the problem with that is TVIS said that 9/11 was caused by white extremists, right-wing extremists, and therefore skews all the numbers to say, look, statistically, all of this violent crime and domestic terrorism is being caused by right-wing extremists. Thank you, 2009 Obama administration. Yeah. TEVIS uses their reporting and simply excludes many violent acts if they were perpetrated by non-whites or outright lies about the race of individuals conducting violent acts. In a blatant display of data manipulation, the exclusively Arab 9/11 hijackers who murdered nearly 3,000 innocent people were categorized by TEVIS as white, Caucasian, non-Hispanic, and as a result, TEVIS is able to attribute all of those killed in 9/11 to whites. Yeah, something to be aware of. Excellent reporting from the monkeys of the dance. Mucho apreciado. You're the besto, believe it. If you have intel to send, it goes to intel@bearindependent.com. You can also, if you go right over here, bearindependent.com. Yes, please to thank you for sending a wonderful email over here. As you can see, if you be clicking on this bare minimum right here, it will make you for life to not die when blood come out of arm in massive spray, and then you are to die very bad death. And you can also see here, if you chop the first aid, then things will go very well for you and you will not die. Also, these are pictures that come from my Instagram page. And yes, this is Elijah Schaefer, who talked very nice about the bare minimum on his show. But you can go to contact, it's the best, and you see contact bearindependent.com right here in Intel, and you can put in the Intel, you put it all in the thing, and then you hit the button, and then it goes to the dance monkeys, and these are the dance monkeys right here. Okay? Okay. So, you can do that at bearindependent.com. If you send to admin, please don't send... please to send for you to make nice review of bushcraft knife for go in woods and make shelter for give you $9 to talk nice about cheap Chinese crap. We're not interested in any of that, okay? So, but you can use the contact Bear Independent page over here, both for intel, for your intelligence, and for your good news, your silver linings. Copy, everybody copy. Fabulous. How about adventurefrontier.com? www.adventurefrontier.com. So adventurefrontier.com. Oh my gosh, the fluffy buns, they're right there. All right. So here's the deal. Adventure Frontier has your armor, as you can see right here. Great prices. Great. Look, right here. Great prices. With the MOPC AR-550 plates, $300. AR-500 plates with the MOPC, $240. You can use promo code BearNation for $10 off your armor. They got your armor, obviously. They got your IFAKs right here, the best IFAKs on the face of the planet, the BearFAK on the bare minimum. And very clearly, they've got your fluffy buns. Now, if you're asking to yourself, why do I need a fluffy bun? You don't have the need to know. You need to just simmer down. Don't worry about it. When you get read in on fluffy buns, then you can understand why it is that you might need one. But until such a time as that happens, don't worry about it. There's no good reason for anybody to have a fluffy bun without having the appropriate level of need to know. Sorry, I get worked up sometimes. So Adventure Frontier, we love these guys. They're awesome. They've been great to us from day one. You can see right here, there's a banner that says, due to huge demand for Spartan products, shipping time has increased to 10 to 12 weeks. But in actuality, they're getting this product out in like 4 to 5 weeks. They're doing a really damn good job with customer service, and their pricing is freaking awesome. $239 for Condor Mop C with AR-500 plates in it, including the side plates. Come on, bro. And you get $10 off with Bear Nation. That's freaking awesome. That's really freaking awesome. DisasterCoffee.com. It's that time of day. GrindstoneMinistries.com. Hey, there's 1,500 people here. We're going to start talking about saving lives and talking about the Father, and like 200 to 300 of you are going to jump off because that's what happens, right? So, AdventureFrontier.com, we just talked about them. GrindstoneMinistries.com. That's us. We do the things at Grindstone Ministries, and it's a blast. We are dedicated to the rescue and rehabilitation of victims of human trafficking and sex crimes. We are unashamedly building a new facility to rehabilitate those children, those survivors, And we are raising $12 million. It's the end of the year. If you have a tax burden that you would like lightened just a little bit, contact us, admin@bearindependent.com. Check our fruit. We're happy to provide for you any information that you might need. We've deployed 14 times in the last couple of years. We are an organization of action. We go do the things. And the things that we are doing now is rescuing and rehabilitating sex trafficking survivors. And so we need help with that. We need your prayers, please and thank you for sure. And we're also fundraising. So 12 million is the goal. Every dollar counts. Nobody on the board gets paid. We only fund first order effects for our missions. And so there's no frivolity when it comes to Grindstone Ministries. So grindstoneministries.com, please and thank you. 100% public partnership with y'all. We don't get this stuff done without you. So bless y'all and thank you. Disastercoffee.com. Your life might be a disaster, but your coffee doesn't have to be. This stuff is so freaking good. I wish you could smell this. I want to just like wear it around my neck so that I can smell it all the time. Mad Kelt seems to be able to post some links. Looks like the links are back. What's going on here? Mad Kelt can post all the links. Bless you, Hans. Appreciate you. Ginger Plots. Bless you. 6-bean espresso blend. Listen, if you are a human being that drinks coffee, you should definitely try disastercoffee.com. The reason that they exist is because they were like, how do we generate revenue to tithe to organizations that get out there and do the things? And they're like, hey, everybody drinks coffee. Let's make coffee. And so they did. So they rock. Amendment, the number one, preparedness.com. Let's see, if we go to Amendment 1 Preparedness, amendment1 preparedness.com. What's going on at A1P? Amendment 1 Preparedness, right here. Canned ham radios. Look at this, baby. Look at this. Shop. Look at this. Believe it. Believe it. Super cool, man. And the pricing on this stuff is extraordinary. Honestly, if you consider what you're getting. $250, you got an ammo can that's got a radio inside of it, and it's got everything you need that comes with it. You got all the cabling, you got the antennas, you got the hookup for the solar power, you got a speaker inside of the thing, you got the microphone. I mean, it's freaking awesome. The canned ham light is the little brother to the canned ham. Also in a 50 can, it features a Lexan 898 dual band radio, voltmeter, on-off toggle switch, 3-watt speaker, and a pocket large enough to contain all the necessary cables. Canned ham light is ideal for a man or team looking to have a mobile base station but have other means of powering it. See, he also does these battery backups and stuff. Where's that at? Where's that? Family size buffet ham. That's funny. Reduced fat canned ham, converter ham, canned ham juice. Here we go. It doesn't have a picture about it yet, but this is essentially a battery backup. It's a can full of batteries that you can hook to your other ammo can. My point here is this stuff is awesome. It's absolutely awesome. So go to amendment1preparedness.com. See this right here, amendment, the number 1 preparedness.com. Shop them around. They make the best prepper camo gear on the face of the planet, and so highly recommended. And lastly, Sanctified Supply Co. sanctifiedsupplyco.com. So this is Jerry and Lucia. Jerry and Lucia rock. And hey, I know all these people right over here. Where did they go? I know all of these people. I'm not going to OPSEC them, but I know all of them. And so I know that guy. I've seen that guy a time or two. I got that thing. And so, hey, I know that lady. And so they have some really cool stuff. Okay. Hey, it's a guy blowing a shofar. That's cool. That's a good one. Made for a time such as this. Probably a reminder we all need right now. It's not an accident that we're here in this time. Let your light shine. That's a cool little sticker right there. Stay humble and kind. This right here is the grindstone benefit stuff to help raise money for Caleb House. And so if you're a human being that wears clothes and you're on a mission to end human trafficking, just like we are, you get this t-shirt for $25 right here, or this hoodie for $55, and the proceeds help benefit Caleb House, which is super cool. And we love them and appreciate them for doing that. While you're there, you might think about picking up some of this other stuff that they got going on as well. This shirt right here is the Stay Humble and Kind shirt. This is the unofficial uniform of the Bear Nation right here, the Stay Humble and Kind shirt. So, SanctifiedSupplyCo.com, they freaking rock. Moving right along into the silver linings. Silver linings. We did the things and filled 19 5-gallon buckets of essential food. We ran out of Mylar and buckets, but it was still a great feeling. We have more food than we thought. Praise Yah. We still have hundreds of pounds of flour and will add more dry beans. We are feeling absolutely blessed. Also, my dear husband was able to bag some game to add to our freezer. Thank you for the inspiration, Bear. Hey, you're welcome, ? I'm just a busted up POS that figured out how to talk to a camera and talk to my creator, and here we are. So all praise to the Most High. Another viewer says, about a month ago, you all posted a link to a website which described in detail the making of beef bacon. NWA Prepper, bless you, brother. After trying my hand at it, I have to say that beef bacon is so much better than the alternative. It's also super easy to make. And to think my former obsession with eating smoked swine belly was literally my chief objection to attempting to keep Torah. Amen. Very cool. Hey, and I've got my Bible open to Proverbs 3 right here. And because it's my show, we're going to read it a little bit before we pray. Proverbs 3, the Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, the king of Israel. My son, do not forget my Torah, and let your heart watch over my commands, for length of days and long life and peace they add to you. Let not loving commitment and truth forsake you. Bind them around your neck, write them on the tablet of your heart, thus finding favor and good insight in the eyes of Elohim and man. Trust in Yahweh, the Lord your God, with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. Know him in all your ways, and he makes your paths straight. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear Yahweh and turn from evil. It is a healing to your navel and a moistening to your bones. Esteem Yahweh with your goods, and with the first fruits of all your increase. Then your storehouses, because you have storehouses, right? Then your storehouses shall be filled with plenty, and your vats overflow with new wine. My son, do not despise the discipline of Yahweh, and do not loathe his reproof. For whom Yahweh loves, he reproves, and as a father, the son whom he delights in. We are reaping what we have sown as a nation. We are being reproved by the Father. Remember that. Delight in that. Open up your eyes and talk to him. Blessed is the man who has found wisdom and the man who gets understanding. For the gain from it is better than the gain from silver, and its increase than fine gold. She is more precious than rubies, and all your delights are not comparable to her. Length of days is in her right hand, riches and glory in her left hand. Her ways are pleasant ways, and all her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to those taking hold of her. This is wisdom that we're talking about. She is a tree of life to those taking hold of her, and blessed are all who retain her. Yahweh founded the earth by wisdom. He established the heavens by understanding. By his knowledge the depths are broken up and clouds drop down dew. My son, let them not depart from your eyes. Watch over sound wisdom and discretion. Then they become life to your being, to your soul, and an adorning to your neck. Then you would walk safely in your way, and your foot would not stumble. When you lie down, you need not be afraid, and you shall lie down, and your sleep shall be sweet. Do not be afraid of sudden dread, nor of the ruin of the wrong when it comes. For Yahweh is at your side, and he shall guard your foot from being caught. Do not withhold good from those who deserve it, when it is in your power of your hand to do so. Do not say to your neighbor, go and come back, tomorrow I give it when you have it with you. Do not plan evil against your neighbor, seeing he dwells safely beside you. Do not strive with a man without cause, if he has done you no evil. Do not envy a cruel man and choose none of his ways, for the perverse one is an abomination to Yahweh, and his secret counsel is with the straight. The curse of Yahweh is on the house of the wrong, but he blesses the home of the righteous. He certainly scoffs the scoffers, but gives favor to the humble. The wise do inherit esteem, but fools are bearing away shame. Good morning, Father Yah. Father, thank you for the opportunity to do this. Father, thank you for fearfully and wonderfully creating us for this time. Father, thank you for reproving and instructing us and proving just how much you care about us through that process. Thank you for striving with us and being present in our lives and teaching us as we do our best to walk in your ways. Father, thank you for shining light on our shortcomings so that we know where we need to step up as individuals, as husbands and fathers, as men, as communities, and as a country. Thank you for making it abundantly clear where we are lacking so that we can improve. Father, thank you for conviction and personal responsibility. Father Yah, if there's anything within the sound of my voice that's not of you, we come together in agreement and rebuke it in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach and command it to flee. Father, fill us up with your Ruach HaKodesh, your Holy Spirit, for wisdom and discernment, for strength and power and authority, for healing, internal and external, and for peace that surpasses all understanding. Father Yah, thank you for giving us a life and teaching us how to live it through the example of Yeshua Messiah. And thank you for just relentlessly pursuing us, your lost sheep, and calling us home, and proving over and over again that your arms are longer than our feet. And we cannot outrun you if we would just simply repent, teshuvah, turn to you. Father Yah, thank you for Messiah and his atoning sacrifice, and for making a way for your people to come home to you again. Father Yah, I just lift all these people up to you, lay them at your feet, and ask that your will would be done with them today, that you would use us to build testimony, that you would use us to serve your kingdom, that you would put us where you need us. I ask that you would give us this day our daily bread, that you would protect us, that you would provide for us, and that you would bless us. And I ask all these things in the mighty name of Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen. Shalom, y'all. Shabbat shalom. Have a blessed Sabbath.